Texas A&M has 4 challenging games coming up this year in Kyle Field. Which is the most winnable?
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Check them all out today at nissanusa.com. So today we're going to kind of break down the schedule in these 4 games at home. We've talked about the flip side of this, the road games, ranking those, and what are we concerned there? What are the most challenging games there? But these are the 4 games that you're going to play in Kyle Field that are really going to make or break your chances of getting 8-9 wins on the season. You have to take one of these. We've talked about, McNeese, Florida, Bowling Green, Arkansas, Mississippi State, South Carolina, New Mexico State, and Auburn are all winnable football games. Florida and Auburn on the road are tougher, but still winnable football games. So that's 8 games right there that you could legitimately go 8-0. You could drop 1, you could drop 2. These games you're going to play in Kyle Field. Notre Dame at home to start your season. Then, of course, the LSU game, the Missouri game, and finishing the season with Texas. Those 4 games will make or break what you do this year. And, I'm kind of calling them upsets because, I think heading into the season right now, if I were to say, Texas A&M beats Notre Dame, Texas A&M beats LSU, Missouri, Texas, etc., one of those, all of those we would consider, as we sit right now, an upset. That's just the reality. There's a lot better outlook of these football teams heading into the year than there is for Texas A&M. These are good football teams. LSU, Nussmeyer's supposed to be pretty good. Then Missouri, this is the year we're going to find out if they're a real thing or if they were a flash in the pan or a one and done or if they were a one-hit wonder. We're going to find that out. And then Notre Dame is what Notre Dame is every year. They're either good or they're bad. And more times than not, they're going to be overrated. Texas is going to be a good football team. Reviving this rivalry is going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be a great game to finish the year in Kyle Field. It's going to be a really exciting football game. But, to me, I go back and forth on this, and I think I have said this on the show before. I go back and forth on the Missouri game. I can't decide if I think Missouri is the real deal going forward. Now, listen, they've done everything the right way. They've gained. They're going to have a lot of their talented players from a year ago back. They're going to bring. They're returning a lot of valuable starters. They did a good job in the portal. They're starting to recruit at the high level. So there's not much of a reason to not be a believer in Missouri. But I think I need to see it one more time. I need to see it. I need to see it again. Last year, once again, the SEC, Missouri was in the SEC East. Now this has changed, which means you're playing, Kentucky and Vandy and some of these teams. Obviously, Georgia as well. But the East is, of course, not what the West was in the past. So, now you're going to have to play the big dogs on a more constant basis. You're going to get Bama, whatever Bama ends up being with DeBoer, still bumping to Georgia some, but you got to play the LSU and the Ole Misses of the world more. I don't have Missouri's schedule from a year ago in front of me, but maybe they played some of those guys. I'm not really sure. But point here is maybe if they did, this is now more constant thing. You're not going to get to play Vandy and Kentucky anymore. And that's kind of just the reality here. You're going to have to start playing Ole Miss and Tennessee and Georgia and these really high-quality opponents on a year-to-year basis. So I need to see it one more time from Missouri to be a believer. One more year. If they have a good year this year, if they win 9 football games this year, I am all the way in. And I think they, could do it. I'd have to pull their schedule up once again. But I just think coming to Kyle Field, playing in front of all those people, playing in front of the 12th man, it's not easy to win a football game. I don't care who you are. I don't care who it is. When you're coming to play at Kyle Field, it's not a gimme. So Missouri's number 1 for me. LSU's number 2. I just think LSU is the more talented roster, which, we have the debate here all the time at Locked On Aggies. Does talent always mean everything? No. We've learned that at Texas A&M. I think you could have LSU and Missouri tied at 1, because LSU's got, Nussmeier, who we saw in the bowl game, looked solid. Looked like he's going to be great. Not really miss a step. Obviously, you're going to miss a step from the Heisman winner and Jaden Daniels, but I think Nussmeier is going to be a good quarterback. You're losing the Neighbors. You're losing your Heisman quarterback. So, it's going to be tough to replace that. If you're LSU, you're losing a ton of talent, but it's LSU. They're always recruiting. So this is a team in LSU that is just hard to project because what is Nussmeier going to do? What is his receiver room going to look like? What's the defense going to look like? There's a lot of question marks around that team. But it's going to be a winnable football game. I think as we sit right now, we'd consider this an upset, but it's a winnable football game. Number 3, I have Notre Dame. I do think you could have Texas and Notre Dame kind of once again, like you could have LSU and Missouri / 1-1, and then have Notre Dame and Texas at 2. There's because these are very similar, but Notre Dame and Texas, I presume will both be top 10 teams to start the season. Notre Dame, of course, more than likely Riley Leonard's going to be their quarterback. Mike Elko's old quarterback at Duke. Good player. He wasn't on the field much last year. He was in and out of the lineup with an injury, but talented guy. So, what is that going to look like? Are you going to see that Notre Dame team? Same thing. It's going to be a top 10 football team coming to Kyle Field to open the season. We're not going to know. It's going to be such a hard game to predict because we're not going to know what Texas A&M's got yet. We don't know what are these receivers going to be. What is this defensive line going to look like? Is the secondary going to be better? We don't know yet. That's when we're going to find out. So it's going to be one of those games where it's a talented team. It's going to be hard to beat them, but they're coming to your place. And that's what makes every one of these games you have a chance to win because they're coming to your place. One of the toughest places to play in all college football. So I have Notre Dame there at 3. And then Texas at 4, of course, being the most challenging. I think that, Texas is just a talented football team. As much as I hate to say it, I think Sark's done a pretty solid job of building what he's built there. They're getting talent. They're recruiting at a high level. They're getting good football players. So, you're going to have to beat a good football team with veterans at a lot of positions. So can you take down a veteran-led Texas team? I think that, once again, is Texas A&M going to be favored in that game? Well, you never know what could happen. Could someone get hurt and that hurts their season? Stuff like that can happen. But as of right now, of course, no. Texas A&M is likely not going to be favored in any of these games. Now, I will say, I bet you the lines for LSU and Missouri are pretty close to even. It's probably LSU -1.5, Missouri -1.5, because these are tight games. These are going to be close football games. So I don't think the lines are going to be massive in these games is kind of what I'm getting at here. But all of these games are winnable. Texas A&M won't be projected to win them, but they can win them. I think if they win 2 of these games, they are guaranteed to win 9 with a chance to win 10 if they win 2 of those. Now, can they win 2 of those? And once again, we need to hear more about this team from spring, from what's going on in the summer. Are we hearing positive reports? Are players staying healthy? Is this staff developing? We don't know yet, but based on my projection of this roster and this coaching staff, if the development that I foresee happening happens, I think you're going to see this team be able to win with the schedule, knowing that all of their difficult games are at home, win 9 games with a outside chance of 10, very outside chance of 10, and then 8 probably being the most likely realistic, win total for the season. So that's my thoughts on kind of ranking those games. Let me know y'all's thoughts. If you had to rank from most winnable to least winnable, how would you rank those 4 football games? Now we're going to break down Texas A&M's upcoming weekend of baseball. I've got a ton of notes here about Arizona State and USC. We're going to go through that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. So they've got a ton of great vehicles. They've got the 2024 Nissan Rogue. It's perfect for city drives, great escapes. It's got class exclusive Google built in, so you always have that assistant there to call, help with whatever. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. And then the Nissan Armada, the 2024 Armada. It will change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Tow bigger and explore further in the 2024 Armada. And then, of course, you can take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. So, breaking down these baseball games. So, I hadn't had a chance to break these teams down when I was kind of talking about, well, you want to do well this weekend. I'll tell you, I think if you really want to separate yourself as, we're a contender, I think you should go 3-0 this weekend. Now, it's baseball. I get it. So, it's very different than many other sports. It's not basketball, football, where, this is Arizona State can have a day where they're just seeing the ball well and you lose. That's just the reality of baseball. Which one thing I don't know, is baseball, it's Power 5 or Power 6? I've never heard that in college baseball. I don't know. All I know is it's Power 1 because it's the SEC, but that's beside the point. Of course, these would be Power 5 teams, but Arizona State, so they have 7 hitters hitting at least 350 on the team. Their team batting average is incredibly impressive. They hit a lot of bombs, and they give up a lot of bombs. They've given up 20 home runs on the season. This pitching staff for Arizona State gives up a ton of runs. So a ton of home runs. So kind of what I'm hearing here about this Arizona State team is, you need to live on the corners. They hit the baseball well. Pitching staff needs to be dialed. Now, they've played in a lot of shootouts. They're 5-3 on the season. And now they've played, so USC is different. Arizona State's played some quality teams. Now, when I say quality, I just mean team. They've played Ohio State. They've played some baseball teams that we've at least heard of the college, and they are giving up a lot of runs. They're in a lot of high run baseball games, and against a team that gives up a lot of runs but scores a lot of runs, I'm taking Texas A&M because I think the Aggies offense is twice what Arizona State's is, and their pitching staff's better. So, if you have the advantage in both of those categories, more times than not, you're going to win the baseball game. So yeah, the staff gives up a ton of runs. Their pitching staff walks 5 per game. So, be patient, that make their staff throw you a strike. They do strike out 11.5 per game. So, a solid strikeout number, but they also walk a lot of guys. So, be patient, get your pitch, live at the plate like that. I think that's the approach you want to take against a team like this. But, they can swing it. and they can't really pitch it. I mean, like I said, they've given up a ton of bombs. They've given up 20 bombs on the year. That's a lot of homers. So, that probably means to me that they're hanging curveballs or they're leaving fastballs middle. If they're leaving fastballs middle, turn and burn, baby. Turn and burn. There's a high chance Jace Lavalette has 3 bombs this weekend. But that's what I would do. That'd be my approach at the plate is I'd look at that and say, okay, they've given up 20 homers. Sit on your pitch and drive it. When you get your pitch, don't miss it. That's going to be key. And then when it comes to Texas A&M's pitching staff, live on the corners. Don't try and, be cute, throw something down the middle, live on the corners, good off-speed pitches. And I think Texas A&M can beat Arizona State 2 times. And then you play USC once, and USC at one point was a pretty good baseball team. And they're 2-6 right now. They have a team batting average of 207. 207. And they have not played the schedule Arizona State has played. They have played a couple, fine mid-major teams, but nothing, crazy. And so, a team average, once again, of 207, that is not great. So what does that say to Texas A&M's pitching staff? Throw strikes. Throw strikes. They also have only hit 4 homers. This is not an offense that is going to kill you. This is not an offense that should scare you when you're playing USC. So fill up the zone. Now, I'm not saying throw them center cut fastballs all weekend, but I'm saying don't be afraid to throw strikes. They haven't hit homers all season. If they hit a homer, make sure it's a solo homer. And if they do, tip your cap. But throw strikes. Don't be cute. Don't walk them. Don't let them get on base because, when you're a team that is batting 207, has only hit 4 homers, you got to manufacture runs somehow. So, whether that's string together singles, which is really hard to do, or get walks, get on base, hit by pitch, get them on, get them over, get them in. There's lots of, ways they're going to try and manufacture runs. But if I'm Texas A&M, I'm attacking the strike zone all weekend long against USC. We only play USC once, but I am attacking the strike zone. Bang, 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 attacking it. That's what I'm doing there. So the pitching staff, okay, a staff ERA of 4.76 right now. They've also booted the ball 11 times. So, 1 point, whatever, 4, 11 errors in 8 games, 1 point something errors per game. Team that boots the ball a little bit. But their staff's given up 12 homers and 35 walks, which in 8 games is less than Arizona State. But still, once again, take till you get yours. The pitching staff for USC seems like it's better than the staff for Arizona State, but still a 4.76 ERA. That's kind of my thoughts here on these 2 teams. Texas A&M is the best team of these 3 teams by a mile, in my opinion. I don't think there's any real debate there. I just think, Arizona State, they can hit, but they can't pitch. USC seems like they can pitch okay, but they can't really hit. And Texas A&M can do both of those things. And once again, we're only 8 games into the season. The script could change for those 2 teams. They could, their staff could dial in. They could start hitting the ball, whatever. But the numbers don't lie right now, and that's what they say. So if Texas A&M is able to do those things, they should be able to take care of business. And I think they can go 3-0. Now, it's baseball. If they go 2-1, I'm not going to be mad. It's baseball against, legit baseball teams. You're not playing a random no-name team. So that's kind of my thoughts on this weekend. I'm really excited about these games. So tell me your thoughts on these games this weekend. And then the Texas game's coming up as well. We'll break that down early next week. So tell me y'all's thoughts on these 3 games. I'm curious to hear what everybody thinks. So now I've got a couple mailbag questions, and we'll talk for a couple minutes about this matchup with Georgia, which is win or you're done. We'll have those conversations coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all of your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and a ton more. I always say it, football's over. As much pain as that brings, you still got a ton of fun stuff to bet on. The NBA, it's officially March, which means March Madness is coming up, the NCAA tournament. The SEC tournament's coming up here in Nashville. A lot of college basketball to bet on, NBA to bet on, and then, of course, the MLB season is coming up right around the corner, so you've got baseball coming up as well. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sports partner of the NBA and the Locked On Podcast Network. So, couple questions here. So, the first question we've got asked, if players are, if I had to pick one position group for Texas A&M to get more players the next time the portal opens, you're going to see players leave. That's just what happens. And normally the players that leave in this portal window see, I'm kind of buried here in the depth chart. I'm going to go find somewhere else to play. It's not as much like your really talented players going, like your Walter Nolans and your Evan Stewarts. This is when your, Sam McCalls and Jacoby Matthews, talented guys, but I think they saw they were a little bit buried on the depth chart. So for me, I think it is the offensive line, and I've harped on this. That's the one position I wish they would have gone and got another guy in the portal, another tackle. I think that they might end up shopping front office unless they just feel great about who they have on roster, which could be true. And that could be true. And that could be why they didn't go get another guy. But I don't know if I feel great about the offensive line depth. I feel like it's fine. I don't feel great about it. So I think maybe if one of the guys on roster that you are expecting to have a good season maybe doesn't pan out in the spring, hey, you go get somebody in the next portal window that you think can make this offensive line better. So that's the one position group there that I think I would do that for. I would go get a better or another offensive lineman there. And that's only if the players that you have, they don't really pan out to be what you think they're going to be, which could happen. So that's my thought there. The next mailbag question kind of is our segue into basketball. And someone asked me, how would I fix the basketball team? And someone in the comments yesterday, shout out if this was your comment, it was a great point about the basketball team. I was talking about let's go get shooters in the portal. And while I still do think that would be valuable, the comment said basically, we don't run an offense. It's just, that's just the reality here. Here, let me pull this comment up. It says, I don't think pulling, this is from Michael. He says, for the basketball team, I don't think pulling elite shooters is the solution. The team doesn't run plays. There's no passing out inside, out game. Buzz might be the problem. And it's hard to argue with you. There's been many, many times that I've been extremely frustrated watching this team play basketball. The lack of offense, like of movement, and it's just, Wade Taylor's going to just shoot the ball, or Boots is going to dribble and drive it. Offense is a real thing. Moving the basketball, moving without the basketball, creating open shots. It seems like that lacks on this team, and that is frustrating. So how I would fix this team is I would start moving without the basketball, cutting, screening, try and get shooters open for good looks. That's what I would do to try and fix this team. But here's the deal. It is now or never, because we're about to talk about Georgia. If you lose to Georgia, your only shot is winning the SEC tournament, which is not going to be an easy ask. So let's talk about the Georgia game for a minute. So Georgia, they have some guards who can score. Now they don't have a guy that's giving you 18 a game, but they have a whole bunch of guards who are giving you 10 plus. They have 3 of them. They are shooting 34% from 3, 43% from the field. They turn it over about 12 times a game. They get 35.5 rebounds a game. They score about 75.6 points a game. Texas A&M's shooting has now gotten to where, what are they shooting? I said yesterday, what are they shooting now on the season from three? It's like 26.7%, which is just insanely awful. So, there's no other way to explain this. If you want to win this basketball game, if you want to keep your season alive, and now, once again, now that you lost that game to South Carolina, you now only, all you can do is hope that to get some help, and go 3-1 and hope that the committee lets you in, the selection committee lets you in, because, there's going to be other teams that are deserving and they have to drop a couple games. So you're no longer, 4-0 and you're in. You're now, if you go 9-9 in SEC play, you have a chance if the committee lets you in. So you have to go 3-0 even to have a chance, and it's still, not guaranteed. But, Georgia has some guards who can score. They have a solid big in Shua. He's pretty good. He's a presence down low, large guy, move you around, physical. So, Texas A&M is the way they're going to have to win this game is create some offense, create some offense. If they're able to do that, they can win. I still think this is a better basketball team than Georgia. I do. Playing on the road doesn't help, but they have to create some kind of actual offense, moving the basketball, not just letting one of your two veteran guards, throw up a shot and hope it goes in. That's not the offense that's going to get it done for Texas A&M. So that's my thoughts on that game. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you all so much for being here. It's going to do it for this week, actually. It's Friday. Happy March, everybody. Next week we will break down what goes on with the baseball games this weekend, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to talk about that. So, we'll break that down on Monday. But like I said, that's going to do it for today's episode. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you next time.